In the janitorial field, employees are the most important part of any safety program. You may come across possible fatal hazards every day. To educate you about the potential safety hazards you may encounter on a daily basis, and to help train you to perform your job duties safely is the main purpose behind this training program. This program is a comprehensive training program for each topic covered. Its purpose is to provide an accurate but brief overview of the various topics discussed. Your supervisor will provide more in-depth training of the safety hazards and topics that require a more thorough knowledge. Your attitude towards safety can be the best preventive measure available to you. When you spot a safety hazard, take immediate steps to correct the problem. This may include correcting the problem yourself, notifying your supervisor. Never take shortcuts. This is the safe way to work, even if it means taking a few extra minutes to do the job right. Slips, trips, and falls are the most common source of injuries in the workplace. Working in the janitorial field, you will often find yourself working in and around situations associated with these type of hazards. If you understand causes and take certain steps, you can minimize or avoid a slip, trip, or a fall injury. Slips are caused predominantly by wet surfaces due to spills. Not all slips are caused by the surface itself, but may be caused by the employee's shoes. Employees should wear slip-resistant shoes whenever possible. Marking and cleaning up spills immediately will prevent many workplace injuries. And don't forget to always use the wet floor signs. Remember that the area range that covers the sign is 8 feet. The causes of trips are easily identifiable. It could be an object obstructing the view of the path, hard to see walkways due to poor lighting, clutter in the walkway, wrinkled carpet, cables crossing the path, uneven walkways. Ways to prevent causes of tripping could include removing obstacles, good lighting, rerouting or properly covering exposed cables, and if there's an issue with floors, report it immediately to supervisors. You risk falling when working at any elevation. Be careful when using any type of equipment that elevates you to a higher level. Know the correct procedures for using ladders and don't use ladders that are damaged or that are on uneven ground. Never use a box or a chair to reach a higher level. When working on steps or stairs, use extreme caution. Use ladders that are in good condition. Never use a metal ladder when working with electrical fixtures. Step ladders should be open fully with spreaders locked in place. Never use a step ladder as a straight ladder. Use both hands when climbing a ladder. Keep your weight centered between the rails and do not overreach on each side. When working at heights exceeding 6 feet, have a second person hold and steady the ladder. Carry tools and window washing equipment on a tool belt. Ladders should not be stored when they present a tripping hazard or where they can fall on people. The ladder angle should be 1 foot out for each 4 feet of ladder working length. Lifting heavy objects is the common cause of back injury. When lifting, use the following techniques. Stand close to the object when lifting, with your feet spread apart for balance. Squat down to pick up the object by bending at the knees. Grasp the item firmly and hold the object as close to your body as possible. Lift your legs And don't twist your torso. Keep your body facing forward when lifting, carrying, and setting down an object. If the object is too heavy to lift, see if you can split the load and make 2 or more trips. If that is not possible, seek help. Do not throw trash bags from any distance. Walk up to the dumpster and place the bag inside. Personal protective equipment. Gloves, which protects the hands from spills, cuts, chemicals, and electrical shocks. Safety glasses, which prevents from flying objects and splashing. Non-slip shoes, which prevents from wet surfaces, slips, and exposure to chemicals. Chemical hazard information must be communicated to all employees. Equipment and training concerning protective measures to prevent exposure to chemicals and reduce the risk of working with hazardous chemicals must be provided. When dealing with chemicals, employees should take training seriously. Read labels and safety data sheets. Know where to find the safety data sheets. Use appropriate PPE. Know correct emergency procedures and use safe work habits. Employees should follow the safety guidelines printed on the container for such products as window cleaner, toilet bowl cleaner, and dishwashing liquids. Siteforce uses the P&G HAZCOM protocol. Always read the label and instruction sheet. Always follow the manufacturer's usage instructions. Use no more of a cleaning product than recommended by the manufacturer. Always observe safety precautions which apply to handling storage and use as presented on the label or in this manual. Always dispose of empty cleaning product containers as recommended on the label. Never store any chemicals or cleaning products near or above food storage preparations or serving areas. Never mix different chemicals or cleaning products. Never put chemicals or cleaning products in unmarked containers. Never leave chemical or cleaning product containers uncovered. Never store chemicals above your waist. The best method of fire safety is fire prevention. All employees should take basic steps to prevent fires. This includes keep your workplace free of trash or other flammable materials. Do not overload electrical circuits. Do not allow sparks or flames in your areas using oxygen or flammable gases. Not only should employees prevent fires, but you should also be prepared in case of a fire. Know the location of all emergency exits and fire alarms. Learn how and when to operate a fire extinguishers. Remember, smoke and heat are just as deadly as flames. Don't touch or open any door without first testing the amount of heat radiating from it. Stay low to the floor to avoid inhaling too much smoke. Remember that others' lives may depend on your actions. To manage electricity safely, examine all cords and plugs routinely. Do not use damaged equipment. Report all shocks immediately. Never work around electricity when you and your surroundings are wet. Keep cords away from heat and water. Don't run cords across walkways, under rugs, or through doorways. Don't use damaged outlets or adapters. Don't use any electrical device that blows a fuse, trips a circuit breaker, shocks, or appears damaged. Follow the manufacturer's instructions when using electrical equipment. If the electrical plug comes apart, notify the supervisor immediately. Trash containers may contain sharp glass and metal objects. Avoid cuts and punctures to your skin by handling trash in a safe manner. Never press down on trash with your hands or feet. Get a good grip and make sure your hands are dry before lifting a filled plastic trash bag from its container. If the bag is heavy, you may want to separate the trash into 2 bags. After removing a bag from the container, inspect it for protrusions and holes. Avoid bumping your body against a filled trash bag during a removal and disposal. Don't swing filled trash bag onto your back and do not throw the bag from any distance. Place the bag in the dumpster. Avoid twisting and putting the trash bag in the dumpster in one motion. Do not block doorways, elevators, stairways, or access to safety and emergency equipment such as fire extinguishers or fire alarms. Do not place your bare hand into garbage. You can avoid any infections or sharp objects. First aid is limited care for illness or injury until a trained medical attention can arrive. Should first aid be required, you should be prepared. Know the correct phone number to call if the injury requires a trained medical personnel. In most cases, this should be the nationwide 911 number. Know the locations of all first aid kits. Know the location of the nearest eye wash stations. Know who to call in case of an emergency. If a person around you is unconscious or non-responsive, call 911 immediately. Report every accident or incident immediately to your supervisor or human resources. The Emergency Action Plan. Evacuation emergency. When employees detect an emergency that requires an evacuation, such as a fire or hazardous release, they should activate the fire alarm. Call 911. Assist injured personnel or notify emergency responders. Exit the building. Ensure all personnel are out. Do not use elevators. Use a fire extinguisher only if it's safe to do so and you have been trained. Assemble personnel at a remote location. Report hazardous conditions. Stay low if confronted with smoke. Check closed doors for heat before opening. Stay away from the building until it's safe to return. Evacuation procedures. At this company, the following types of emergency evacuations exist: fire, tornado, work violence that leads to bodily harm. When there's a fire, evacuate the building using the stairs and closest exit. Do not use elevators. Once evacuated, move away from the building. Ensure that you are notifying your manager or supervisor of the situation. Do not re-enter the building until authorized by emergency personnel. Be familiar with exit locations of buildings you frequent prior to an emergency. Never ignore evacuation alarm. Tornadoes. Seek a small interior or hallway on the lowest floor. Stay away from doors, windows, or outside walls. Stay in the center of the room and avoid corners because they attract debris. Rooms constructed with reinforced concrete, brick, or block with no windows and heavy concrete floor or a roof system overhead is highly encouraged. Avoid auditoriums, cafeterias, and gymnasiums that have flat, wide-span roofs. Employees should stay away from windows, but stay inside the building they're in. Bloodborne pathogens. Every business that employs or has contact with people carries some risk of being exposed to the hazards of bloodborne pathogens. OSHA has established a guideline to protect workers who, as a result of doing their job, could come into contact with blood or other potential infectious material. Exposure incidents. What's an exposure incident? An exposure incident includes any incident, injury, or near miss that occurs that has the potential to result in the exposure to human body fluids, tissues, or other potentially infectious materials. Work practice controls. Eating, drinking, smoking, applying cosmetics or lip balm, and handling contact lenses are prohibited in areas where there is a reasonable likelihood of exposure. Food and drink should not be kept where blood or other potentially infectious materials are present. All procedures shall be performed in such a manner as to minimize splashing, spraying, and spattering, and any type of generating droplets of any of these substances. Wash your hands and any other skin with soap and water, or flush mucous membranes with water immediately following contact. Never pick up items like broken glass with your bare hands. Always wear appropriate personal protective items such as gloves, eye protection, etc. If exposure occurs, stop what you're doing, cleanse the wound and surrounding areas with soap and water, report it to your supervisor, seek medical attention, note the date and time of exposure, the job duty and procedure that you performed at the time of the incident, a detailed description of the incident, and the decontamination procedures that were used. Bloodborne pathogen cleaning procedures. Bloodborne pathogen cleaning procedures are guidelines that help ensure the safe and effective cleanup of blood and other bodily fluids that contain bloodborne pathogens. These procedures typically involve using specialized cleaning products, equipment, and techniques that effectively remove the pathogens from the affected area. The goal of these procedures is to reduce the risk of exposure to bloodborne pathogens and prevent the spread of these diseases. How do you dispose and clean up bloodborne pathogens? Well, first, you want to identify the contaminated area. Then put on your personal protective equipment. Clean the affected area using specialized cleaning products. Dispose of any contaminated materials in a safe manner. Decontaminate any equipment that was used during the cleaning process. Then verify that the cleaning process was effective. Remove your personal protective equipment and dispose of it properly. 10-step procedure to clean up blood. Number 1, equip yourself with protective materials. Gloves are essential. You may want to consider a gown and protective eyewear in case of any splashing. Number 2, use a brush, dustpan, or tongs, forceps to remove broken glass or other pointed shards that could break through your protective wear. Place each piece into a leak-proof sharps container. Under no circumstances should you ever remove these objects by hand. Cover the spill in a durable cloth towel to soak up as much blood as possible. Registered disinfectant product with the broad-spectrum kill claim will not properly disinfect if the surface is still covered in blood. Discard the used towels into a biohazard bag. Number 4. Ensure proper ventilation if the spill isn't in an open room. Pour most of the registered disinfectant product with the broad-spectrum kill claim onto the spill area and let it soak for 10 minutes. Once this has elapsed, you should work from the outside towards the center while scrubbing the area with durable cloth towels. Place the towels in a biohazard bag. Number 5. Now, dampen some more cloth towels and treat the area of the blood spill once more. Discard these towels in a biohazard bag as well and allow the area to dry. Number 6. Carefully dispose of your protective equipment into a plastic bag. Be sure that other surfaces are not contaminated during this process. You should seal the bag and place it in a second bag, then seal it and mark it with the biohazard label. Number 7, use the registered disinfectant product with broad spectrum kill to decontaminate any reusable equipment, such as dustpans, brooms, buckets, tongs, etc. After you have allowed the registered disinfectant product with the broad spectrum kill to soak for 10 minutes, you should proceed to scrub the equipment and wash it off with fresh water. Do a last check on your body for any contamination. Whether blood managed to splash into your shirt or the back of your elbow, it's important to recognize if you've been exposed. It's strongly recommended that a colleague or manager assist you with this step of the procedure. Number 9, thoroughly wash your hands and arms with water and disinfectant soap. After washing, you may even consider using disinfectant wipes as a secondary measure. And number 10, you may be required to fill out an incident report, so please report the incident to your supervisor. Make sure you do this immediately following any cleanup. Work violence that leads to bodily injury. After any incident, employees will notify HR and fill out a report. If the situation had a bodily injury involved and employees will call 911 in case of any emergency. Sexual harassment, EEOC definition. Sexual harassment is unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature connected to decisions about employment, an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Steps to take if harassed. Remain professional. Be direct with the harasser. Let the person know that you do not like the behavior and the conduct is unwanted and unwelcome and you want to stop it immediately. Go to a supervisor and explain the circumstances. Be sure to take with you dates, times, and specific occurrences if you have them. Also report the incident to Human Resources. If the appropriate supervisor is unavailable or is the offender, report the incident directly to Human Resources. When reporting the harassment, be prepared to share all facts about the incidents. Write down the important details of the incidents. Collect your thoughts before you begin. Remember to provide who, what, and when, where, how, and any witnesses. Think about how the situation could be resolved. Policies and procedures. Remember, you cannot bring any unauthorized person into the building. This will lead to your immediate termination. You cannot let any person into the building that's requesting entrance. Always make sure you use your PPE. Dress code is the use of jeans or cargo pants and tennis shoes that are non-slip. Suggestive attire is not acceptable or any suggestive language on shirts. Do not leave the premises while on the clock. This will be immediate termination. In the case of corrective actions, the first corrective action will be a verbal, the second will be a written, and the third will be termination. Remember, if you have more than 2 absences in a period of 3 months, this will take corrective action. If you're going to be absent, you must notify your supervisor at least 2 hours prior to your start time. Clocking in and clocking out is your responsibility. You have 24 hours to report an error in your hours, otherwise the day would not be paid. Full-time employees have a 30-minute lunch that has to be reported to your clock in and clock out. Part-time employees do not have a break. You should always have a positive safety attitude and promote safety in your workplace. Maintain a clean work environment to prevent slips and trips. Always wear the proper PPE. Follow all Site Force safety rules and procedures. Always pay close attention to safety trainings. Ask your supervisor if you have any questions about the equipment or the procedures. To receive credit for the course, you must complete the training and pass the quiz with at least an 80. Scan the QR code to access the quiz.